Welcome back to the Half a Day Show. I'm your host, Jay Half a Day, the flyest man on the internet, and today we have another installment of Behind the Brand. Joining us today, I have creative director, community curator, host, advocate, and so many more things, and we'll hopefully get to them. I'm butchering her intro, but I think she's still going to say, I did a good job. Did I?
I'll take it.
She'll take it.
It was accurate.
Please welcome Giana Darville. Should I redo that?
I feel like it wasn't bad. Do you feel like you want to do another one?
No, I'm not doing another one. We only one takeover here.
Okay. Then let's lock in. Let's go.
GG in the house.
Big dog.
I knew what I forgot. And honoree of DMV 35 under 35. Congratulations again. That's sport class.
Thank you.
How you feel about that?
I'm really excited. It was something that I had written down on my vision board for like last year. I did like a full list of all the goals that I had and everything that I wanted to achieve. And it was something that had come across my radar and I didn't really know how to go about doing it or anything like that. I met the right people at the right time and I got to speak on what I was working on and they saw me. So I'm really excited. I'm really grateful. I think it's just such a good group of people to be a part of, to be able to learn and grow.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. There's a lot of people on that list. 35 of them to be exact.
To be exact.
And you're 26, 25.
I'm 26. I turned 26 this year.
You turned 26. Happy belated again. That was in September.
October. Close. Libra.
Libra. I fuck with y'all.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We're cool.
Y'all all right.
We're very aesthetic. We like pretty things. We like to create great experiences. I think that's a big part of my personality.
Y'all know what she told me today? She said she the flyest person in this room right now. She didn't say it. Did you?
I don't disagree.
I saw what you did. Welcome back to the Half a Day Show. I'm your host, Jay Half a Day, the flyest man on the internet. And today, I said the flyest man. She said,
I'm dead. Now he has the monitors in 4K.
Archie. I'm just messing with you. I'm actually really excited for you to come on here. This has been an interview that I've had on my list to do since I've met you.
Oh, wow. I believe it. We've always had really good banter, and I feel like I'm always running around at an event or something. So
you talking about running around? Literally, you got to catch her. If you want to collaborate on something, you got to find her, and then you got to catch her. So I'm glad I got to catch you, and hopefully through our conversation, we can put a spotlight on you, your creative journey, and professional story, and go behind the brand.
Is this camera on me?
I hope so. As a storyteller, one of your skill sets is the ability to develop a good narrative that conveys a message and relates to the audience. What's one thing about your story and your personal life that you feel like resonates with everybody else?
I think my parents accidentally made me like a fun compilation of fun facts. So I'm the middle child of 5. We talked about that. I was homeschooled until college. I finished college in 3 years. So it was like a lot of being in situations where I knew I didn't come in with kind of the same frame of reference that everybody else had. And so for me, it's always been about this perspective of curiosity where I'm coming in not assuming that I know everything, but knowing that like I have a really great basis. I know I'm smart. I know I can figure anything out. I know I have the tools to like figure things out.
Right.
And so being able to come in and ask questions and go, well, how are you approaching this differently than how I'm approaching it? It really has allowed me, I think, to understand people better and bring that into the storytelling. So it's not as much an aspect of my story as much as me realizing there's so many other stories to be told that I haven't even gotten to understand. So I get excited to hear about stuff like that. And I get excited to see where people connect. So
curiosity is a big one.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like that stems from for you? Where did it start?
I mean, the homeschooling piece is a big piece. I think I always thought that I would be a part of like the world that we have here in DC, right? Where we're super connected. It's super community oriented. It's tiny. You run into your friends on the train, right? But that wasn't my experience growing up. I was around my siblings the whole time. And it was just a very different experience. And I wanted to be where the people are, you know? And so it was kind of anytime I had an opportunity to go somewhere that was outside of my comfort zone, to meet people that I wouldn't normally cross paths with, I kind of always just wanted to jump in. That was my personality. And so going in with an attitude of curiosity, I tended to fit in better, I think, than if I came in trying to like be the little weirdo that I was for a little while.
Was you was a little weirdo?
I mean, I feel like I grew up like more conservative Christian. Like there were a lot of people.
Hold on. When you say conservative, what you mean by that C word?
Conservative in the sense of, okay, so I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and like I think very similarly to when you're like raised in a culturally religious household, like there's aspects of you that are always going to be part of that. So like for me, it was Sabbath was Friday evening to Saturday evening. And so if I'm with my family, if I'm doing things with them, like I'm always kind of in that attitude. And in my day-to-day life, like I try to, incorporate this attitude of rest. But growing up, it was definitely like no jewelry, no tattoos.
So an actual conservative.
Yeah.
Be going on outside right now.
No, not necessarily.
We ain't gonna go.
No.
There we go. I like it though. Can we sit in Memphis for a little bit?
Sure, yeah. My hometown.
So is big Memphis or is Memphis adjacent?
My address says Memphis, Tennessee. I live off of Shelby Drive, as in 901 Shelby Drive. So
Shelby Drive.
Look alive. Yeah. Right. So like that was hilarious because people would be like, oh, so what high school did you go to? And I was like, if I was not homeschooled, it would have been Southwind because that's around the area that I grew up. So
see, and I ain't even from there and I know there.
There you go. I love that.
She got the M.
I got the big M, not the little M.
All right. And you said you had 4 siblings.
Yeah.
Were you all homeschooled?
We were all homeschooled. Like when we were younger, I think my older brother went to private school for like 2 years. My older sister went for a year. But for the most part, it was just us hanging out, doing our homework.
So then your parents must be super smart then.
I would say so. I think my parents are the smartest people in the entire world. My mom was our kind of primary homeschooler. And in Memphis, I think it's kind of really a big thing, honestly, to homeschool. Tennessee makes it really, really beneficial. There's grants and all kinds of things that make it possible to customize your kind of schooling. So my mom had the opportunity to be able to stay back and homeschool us, but she's the most intelligent person in the world to me. Like she's a lawyer. She passed the bar when I was in her stomach. So I think I'm a lawyer. So
hey, shout out to Dukes and Dad.
Yeah, no, my dad is awesome. I always say he's like my first executive mentor. He worked his way up through the company that he works at. And I think has so many lessons to give because he's come from a place of humility his entire career. I think that's part of where that curiosity comes from as well. No, I need
one.
Yeah.
So would you say that good fruit comes from good trees?
I would say so. I don't think that that's, it's fully nurture and nature at war with one another. But I think I definitely have an advantage by being with parents who always said I could be whatever I wanted to be. Like I came from a place of confidence. And then being able to have people who really, really supported me, even if they didn't fully understand what I was doing.
That's very good. That's a good answer. Very PR.
It's almost like I do this or something.
All right, she does it. And she was putting me on game of what PR is. We'll get to it later on in our conversation. But this is a curveball. Would you say that you're a product of your environment? It usually has a negative connotation to it. But, growing up where you did in the community that you did, would you say that you're a product of the people around you and the environment that you were in?
I would say so. I think in talking with a friend a while back, when I was saying, oh yeah, I'm from Memphis, but me and all of my siblings were homeschooled, my friend literally was like, oh, so your parents really weren't trying to have y'all in Memphis at all. And I was like, to be fair, my mom's from LA, my dad's from New York. It is neither of their hometown, but they were always very conscious of making sure that regardless of where I was, I could completely go into the situation, be comfortable there and connect with people there. But I was surrounded by people who were doing things that I was inspired by and I could aspire toward. Like my godmother was a judge for the majority of my childhood. Like the people that my parents intentionally placed in our lives and like intentionally gave us as mentors were doing things that we could see ourselves doing and that we could aspire toward. So it was a little bit of both. And I think I wouldn't be who I am if I hadn't also had the experiences of going to, all of these different outings and church and like all of these experiences in the middle of Memphis, but also being able to have like exposure to really incredible people doing incredible things.
I'm sorry. So look, I'm trying to make us stay on like track with our questions.
Listen, I'm here for a convo.
We'll have a bunch of tangents and this episode will be an hour long.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try and steer it back to, the idea of curiosity. I think that's going to be the central theme of this. Your LinkedIn references pursuing light bulb moments. Do I have that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us what that means and like the significance and connection to curiosity. And
yeah. I've spent the majority of my career in technology PR. So working with anything that's kind of technological advancements as it relates to consumers. So it's how do you make people really interested in really techie stuff? And so when I started my career at Apple, I was working on the Mac team. And so you're working with analysts, people who are talking about the stuff inside the computer. And I had never worked in a tech space. I went to a really small HBCU that equipped me really well in some ways, and in other ways, there was simply no exposure to that area. So coming into Apple Park when I'm 20 years old, you have to come in with a lot of humility and curiosity. Yeah. So for me, that was kind of where it started. And then being able to move on from that point, it was if I didn't understand it before, now I get it because it's relevant to me in a real and tangible way. How do I unlock that for other people?
For everybody else.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So it's trying to understand people. It's going places you're uncomfortable. It's moving places. Like I've lived in LA, I've lived in Memphis, I lived here now. Just being able to go places and understand how people approach different aspects of life. And it all ties back to tech because it's going to be part of our life for the rest of our lives.
Are y'all listening to her right now? I hope you are. Can you tell that she's good at what she does? I'm listening to it. I'm like, damn, I got to get in the lab.
A little bit.
I'm like, yo.
What AI tools are you using?
All right, come on. She putting us on game.
That.
I'll say it up front. I'll say it again at the back end. I'm proud of you and everything that you're doing. You done
appreciate it.
came from Memphis. You done came to LA. You done came to DC. You've been around the world. Which places do you think have had the most impact on you outside of Memphis? I think you'll say Memphis first. But what's number 2 and number 3?
Shockingly, I wouldn't even say Memphis first.
Really?
Yeah, it's my hometown for sure. But I think my parents always gave us this experience of we were traveling all the time. As far as we were doing road trips, it wasn't like we were flying places or anything, but we were hopping in the car and like going, especially all over the South and experiencing history, experiencing culture. And so my parents, they wanted us to be proud of where we came from, and we're going to be a Grizzlies family till the day that we die. But we had a really great experience of seeing as much as was humanly possible. For me, it was DC. Yeah.
Okay.
I started coming up here before the pandemic in undergrad because I was doing a lot of public health work.
Right.
For,
I can see that.
Yeah, so the Truth Initiative, this was kind of during the height of the teen vaping epidemic. So I was coming up here pretty regularly, working on stuff on the Hill, going and talking to our elected officials, working with teen activists in the streets. And also at the same time, my brother was in med school. My best friend was in med school at Howard Med. So it was just like this opportunity to plug in with really successful Black people who were doing cool things that they were excited about.
It's the place for it.
It's the place. So my world just expanded. And I think that's where I had my first light bulb moment of, oh my goodness, you grow so much when you're around really great people.
Say it again.
You grow so much when you're around
Or write it out.
really great people.
Really good people. All right, coin it. Put it in your book.
Yeah, that's the plan.
And then sell it. You're going to write a book.
My mom keeps telling me I should write a book.
Listen, you're like, I feel like everybody that's come on the show, I would read their book.
Yeah.
I'd definitely read your book.
I would listen to my book.
What would you call it?
Ooh, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Giana. Oh, that's the name of it?
No, I can't release it right now. I got a noodle on it. I'm very careful with, the details.
She did say that.
It's getting a little bit of Beyonce. She inspires me.
All right, well, can we talk about Beyonce then a little bit? Shay, how you feel about the Beyonce Bowl?
Okay, so mind you, I was literally I was sitting at dinner with my family on Christmas when it came out, and so I literally just watched it today. There were tears streaming down my face. It's the same way that I felt when I watched Homecoming. I feel like it's the same way that I felt when I saw her here in DC. There is something so inspiring about a woman who will not give up.
Is that why you went blonde?
Why I went blind?
Blonde.
Oh, blonde.
That's Sasha Fierce.
Oh, no. I was like, I went blind?
No, you were blind.
No, I feel like, I don't know, the blonde, I've had this in the back pocket every now and then. Blonde Giana comes out. I do feel like it's a bolder aspect of myself. And I do think in this past year, my style has been a reflection of the person that I feel like I am, like I'm becoming, like I want to be. And I think that that's also been a really great thing to, I guess, physically manifest the life that I want.
All right, so describe the person that you want to be in one word.
I think courageous is really honestly, I have my tattoo. It's have courage and be kind is my mantra. It's been my mantra for years. There's the trend of being all soft. And then there's also this trope of being a Black woman in DC and being fierce in the sense of ambitious and accomplished. But for me, it's really, am I putting myself in spaces to grow? Am I putting myself in spaces to be emotionally vulnerable? Am I putting myself in places to develop deeper relationships, even if it comes at a potential cost to me? That's courage, right?
Okay, so can we talk about that one then? And hopefully it leads to, one of these other questions. I ain't gonna look at my notes to, like I said, you said, leaving space to be vulnerable and opening it, even if it comes at a potential cost to you. Have you ever had an experience like that recently or, historically, where you've encountered something or interacted with somebody and it has actually costed you something, whether that be to your mental detriment, physical, monetarily, what have you? What was that like and how did you overcome that?
I mean, I think the hardest thing, and we'll be completely honest, the hardest thing for I think women like me in DC, and I mean my age range, who are doing the kinds of things that we're doing, like excited about our lives, passionate, ambitious. Dating is hard. Like we've arrived at that topic, right? And I think it's very funny. Like I think the algorithm is picking up on the conversations me and my friends are having, where we're like, okay, we've been killing it. We've been focusing on our career. We've been focusing on self-improvement. Now there's like, okay, what is it that we want to see for ourselves 5 years from now? And for a lot, not for everyone, but for a lot of us, it's, I want to see the kinds of relationships that some of my friends who aren't necessarily in DC are having and experiencing. Do you think that that's a concept? Not me flipping it to the podcaster, but
The DC bubble?
the DC bubble.
Is that a real thing?
I think it's not necessarily even a DC bubble. I think it's a metropolitan city bubble. Yeah. It's a hub, for sure. Because you're running into people who are all really concerned with, and rightfully so, their futures. That means the present is not necessarily being invested in right now. And the present is kind of what you got to invest in with the relationship to get to the future.
So do you feel like people are too far looking ahead that they can't really interact properly where we're at?
I think people make decisions about the life that they want to have. Like I constantly remind myself of that. And when we talk about being vulnerable, that's how I put boundaries, I think, where they really need to go. So my dad came and visited me here in DC. He got to, run the social circle and kind of get to be in all the different spaces and met some of my friends. It was really interesting. A lot of the conversations that kept coming up were my dad trying to understand why everyone cared so much about these self-determined goals rather than this is the life I want to have. This is the family I see myself creating. This is the legacy I see myself creating. We think about it here in particular in so many monetary and social currencies. Whereas for my parents who got married the day they graduated from college, it was how do I build a life with someone that I love and that can see me through those seasons. So lover girl over here, right? And I'm going to consistently put myself out there in the sense of, I don't think I lose anything by being honest. I don't think I lose anything by being the kind-hearted person that I know myself to be. But that is a space where you can potentially have emotional hurt and have baggage that you pick up along the way. But for me, I never want to lose a sense of optimism. I come from love. I know love. I am love. That's the way that I show up in the world. But that can come at great cost for sure.
It's crazy. Literally, the last person that sat over here has said the same exact thing.
Really?
Word for
bar for bar?
I'm from love, and I'm a big optimist. So I'm always looking for it, and I always leave space for it. Something I'm played the clip.
I would love her as that.
She also works in PR. It's crazy.
Wait, who?
Joanna. She lives in New York. Though.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I'll make that connection.
Yeah, I love that.
Y'all could make some great things happen. But
I think that's the perspective to have when you want to invite love into your life, and not even romantic love. It's
love in general.
Love in friendship senses, love in deepening your family relationships. It's this reminder, if this is the love I wish to see in my life, I have to invest in that.
Damn. All right. Oh, this is the Giana show. But like I said, before I get in my therapy bag, this could have been a whole nother episode. I had to come back. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Thank you for that lovely commercial break. We have to protect our lovely friend's image here.
Yeah, bad for the brand.
Bad for the brand, but we're going behind the brand. So I want to know, this one is a me question. What's the secret to a successful marathon of events and travels? I feel like you're always everywhere.
Yeah.
I look at my phone, damn, she in Greece. Damn, she in, how do you do it? Are you not tired?
Yes.
It's yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Gigi's secret stuff.
I will say I had to start making decisions in about the spring about what I said yes to. And it didn't completely change the way I showed up in the world, but there were very specific things that I couldn't go just because I was invited in order to have the literal momentum and energy to be able to make it through. I'm super organized. This time last year, I basically had about 8 months worth of travel planned out. So I kind of had, these are my friends' weddings. These are my key family events. These are the big trips I'm planning on doing, etc. And then the rest is just fitting in kind of where everything else fits. But there were just so many obligations that I literally ended up with an extensive list for the full year. I'm not doing that for this year. I'm not trying to do that many things.
You rest?
But you have to, I'm not resting. I'll be honest with you.
Strategic rest.
Strategic rest. I think longer periods of rest. But it's literally having a plan and writing it down. You can't really just throw it up in the air because you're also then losing money. I'm trying really hard to make sure that I'm budgeting and I'm setting myself up for success, even though I'm having fun and I'm saying yes to things and I'm, going to Paris because why not? Like,
Is it hard saying no?
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's a trick question.
wait, why is it your question?
Is it hard saying no? Yeah. You can't say no.
Oh,
I'm messing with you. But tell us more though, please.
yeah. I mean, I will say my mom is a pastor's kid. And so I grew up with the mentality of a pastor kid. My grandfather was my first pastor. So the expectation is you say yes. Yes, you can come over for dinner. Yes, we can help you with this. Yes, we'll volunteer. And so there's a little bit of I'm a bad person that plays in the back of your head when you say no, when you have that kind of upbringing. But I think I've seen it in my mom, and I've also seen it in creating a life for myself. When you don't have choice, you deprive yourself of creating the life that you want if you're just going based off of what everybody else wants for you. And so once I really was going, do I have the emotional and physical energy for this? Is it going to feed into one of those like Venn diagram pieces that I have of work, friends and family, love life, hobbies? Is it feeding at least two of those things? If not, I have to say no. I have to say no.
And hearing this though, overarching theme here is creating the life that you want. This is a curveball again. How do you balance like the religious aspect of, self-determination and, having your own autonomy? Do you believe that, all things are still like predestined or like ordered in a certain fashion? So are you creating the life you want to live, or are you aligning with the life you're supposed to live?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is where like my personal math comes in. So maybe that's the geometry of it all.
Coin it.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's really like, it's this equation of if I was created for a purpose. If I was created for a purpose, that's the life in which I am the happiest and most fulfilled. The closer I get to that purpose, the closer I get to the life I'm supposed to have. So you get to make decisions all along the way, right? But for me, it becomes clearer and clearer that I'm operating outside of my purpose when it's further and further from the life that like feels natural, that feels fulfilling, that feels purposeful. And it becomes clearer and clearer when I'm operating closer to that purpose because I do feel it. So for me, the religious aspects of it is I appreciate the grounding. I appreciate for myself knowing that I was created for a reason and that like someone loved me so much they died for my sins. But at the same time, it's you were created to create the impact that you have in this day at this age in the spaces that you're in. It's not, it has to look a certain way.
That's a great answer. So it's like you have all these like different figures around you. Granddad was a pastor. Mom's a lawyer. Godmom's a judge. Dad's a businessman, right? I got all these people, right? How did you pick? Like, how did you choose the path that you're on? Like, how did you know you wanted to go into tech PR? How did that come about? I'm like, at this point, you could have been all of them.
I think I was always very good at communications. Like I got perfect scores on the ACT on like my reading and writing. It was my bag from a very early age. And that's when we talk about purpose, like that was one of those things where I feel in my flow when I'm doing this. I thought I was going to be Oprah. I went to school for broadcast journalism for the first week of college. And then talking about the life I want, I realized you have to move to the middle of nowhere. Sorry.
Why?
When you start in the reporting world, you have to move somewhere, work your way up, and then you move to those major markets. I think that's a very like incredible path to follow. You can create a really cool legacy that way. For me, I was like, I feel like that's wasted time for what I can see myself doing, not being in spaces where I can have that immediate impact.
Right.
So I switched to PR because I found out from a mentor at the time kind of what you could work on and that you could go into the business space. And I found out that the PR team, when you're working in-house at a company, that's about as close as you can get to the executive team without being on the business side. You're working with the executive to figure out how they're communicating important business topics. You're finding out what's happening on the launch path. How are we talking about?
Very strategic. I never thought of, because first of all, I didn't even know what PR was. Like the theater we go. Well enough, I'd never heard about it. So
yeah,
I'm soaking all the game in, but I'm like,
you learn the most in that space. We're doing earnings every quarter, so I'm getting to actually track and look really closely at how the company is doing to decide how do I want to invest.
And this is big corporate.
It's big corporate. Like I was working at Amazon, then I was working at Apple before that. I'm working at HP now. And so those have been incredible experiences of being up close and personal with leaders who are doing really cool things. I got to interview our executive team for our recent launch in it. Yeah. But it's just, what are you thinking? How are you thinking? How are you approaching the world as we know it? Being in those spaces is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it ever like intimidating, being around, I won't call them big wigs. That's the politically incorrect term. But like, the top guns, the top shots, you know what I'm saying? Is it ever intimidating? Do you ever feel, how is it, imposter syndrome?
Yeah. I felt imposter syndrome when I first started out. I'll never forget when I was interning at Apple. This is literally my first big thing at all. And that internship was in person. It was during an HBCU cohort with about 39 other people.
In the Bay.
In the Bay Area, yeah. But it was 39 other people who went to HBCUs, who were around my age, who were going through the same things. And one of my very best friends in the entire world, his name's Devin. Shout out Devin. HBCU community. It's an incredible platform to connect with other HBCU folks. I'll never forget, I had a mentor who was supposed to show up. They weren't available. And that moment, it just felt like someone was not there to support me in something that could be so challenging and that I could fail at. And I remember I walked out of the little cafeteria where we were having our meetup. I just started crying. I was so worried that I was going to mess up this one big opportunity. And Devin came out and he was like, don't cry. It's fine. You're so smart. You're so intelligent. Come sit with my mentor. Like, we can share our mentors. We'll go from there. And like this idea of community that like, it didn't have to be, we all have what we have. It's too bad if you don't have what you have. Let's figure it out. We'll see who like sticks it out. It was always, how can we make sure that we're sharing resources? How can we make sure that the playing field is as even as possible? And so the community aspect of it, that's why it matters to me, because it's what changed my life. It's how I knew about things that I could do. It's how I was put in spaces where I realized I'm capable.
Right.
I have a perspective. And like, that's how I combat the imposter syndrome that I felt before I realized that about myself.
You know, friends like that are priceless.
Yeah.
So, and then you also spoke to the importance of community. What would you say is one thing that a strong community can't exist without? I think you might say maybe it's like the lack of gatekeeping, but just give us a little bit more on that.
I think it's ambition.
For everybody? As
Yeah.
collective or individual?
I think a truly thriving community is one that's in motion. And I think that motion can either be chaotic, right? It's one that's informed by personal gain or informed by, desire to reach that status quo. Because sometimes it is that crabs in a barrel situation. Like, you can't help it if that's sometimes a personality. But when you have a culture of ambition within your community, which I think DC does really, really well, it's, you're going to win at your stuff. I'm going to win at my stuff. And somewhere on this path, we're going to meet up and have an opportunity to work together. So I'm invested in your growth and you're invested in my growth. Let's stay connected.
This is what it's all about, y'all.
Yeah, but it's about community. It's about building each other up. It's about, I don't know, when I first got into comms, I was really grateful that I didn't experience something I think a lot of women and a lot of Black women experience, which is you get into those spaces and there are some people who feel that there's not enough space for all of us.
Gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers, for sure. But it's from a conditioning that is very real that there simply is not enough room for all of us. I think I was really blessed to go into these spaces, and because I was raised with an attitude of humility, coming in and saying, how can I learn from you? What can I help you with? Is there work that I can do with the free time that I have to support what you're doing to add value here? And they welcomed me with open arms. I think that's how I was able to tap in here in DC. There's people I immediately think of when I really try to pinpoint where did I have those points of connection and opportunities to tap in with the right folks. It was Black women who said, no, I want you to succeed. I want you to thrive. And your blossoming does not in any way get in the way of my blossoming. Like, that was a really special place to be and what I want to pass on.
How do you navigate when there is somebody that is, when your vines intersect? How do you deal with the thorns?
The thorns. Ooh, I like the wordplay.
We're getting somewhere. I'm waking up.
I feel like when I come head to head with other women, especially older women, like, if you're really self-reflective about it, I say you, I mean myself. If I am really self-reflective about it, it normally will either come from jealousy or feeling intimidated. And it's either, if it's jealousy, that's not me. I reject that. Like, I really try to keep that at bay because jealousy is deadly. Like, jealousy gets people killed in the sense of, like, it really disassociates you from your purpose, what you want to be, who you want to be, because you're so caught up in what you're not. So for me, it's, okay, am I looking at this as a person I'm competing with versus someone that I can learn from? Because I've literally never been steered wrong from coming from an attitude of, how can I be a servant? How can I be a student?
That's the way. That's what the Bible said to do.
Literally. And I believe it. I truly believe it. And so literally, it's turning inward. Very rarely is it, oh, this person that approached me so crazy. Normally it's, oh man, that came up against something inside of me that's not healed
You do the reflection.
or that's not whole, yeah, you gotta look inward. Otherwise, you're just gonna get this like lens of other people that's really just a perspective that you're putting out into the world. Everybody's a reflection of yourself and how you see yourself.
There's too many quotes, G.
Like, come on. You gotta save some for the rest of us. Like, but nah, I pick up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
But on a different note, what's something personally for you that you wish more people knew about you? You are an open book and you've shared so much with me already, but if the audience didn't know anything, what would you want them to know?
How much music was a part of my life growing up, now, like, I think people who really truly know me know like that's how I like regulate myself. That is how I calm myself down. That's how I center myself. Before every job interview, I have like a playlist of songs that I listen to and I sing along to. Like, music has been a part of my life since I could talk. We grew up singing together in church. We were leading praise and worship. I was like the youth worship leader for like a mega church back in Memphis. That's how I got comfortable in these spaces. And like, I really got to know people because you're getting thrown into these spaces where you're driven by a certain ambition, whether it's, you know, the kingdom of God or it's really helping young Black kids be able to be exposed to music so that they're able to develop parts of their brain. Like, all of these pieces, it comes together, and music is, I think, a really beautiful way to bring people together, specifically in our community and specifically in multicultural communities. It's like this fabric that really connects us. And that's how I got into the event scene. So it's like, it's
It
really
all makes
been,
sense.
it's all part of the brand, you know?
Look at the author was cooking with you.
Listen, Sylvia Darville, she knows.
Okay, I understand now. So, G, I think we only got a few questions left in our episode. We've been having a great conversation, but I did want to lean in on one more aspect that I think is very important to you, which is social justice causes. So, let's see. What do you think is one way that you and I, our audience, can enact change in their communities around some of your favorite topics within social justice? So you worked with the Truth Initiative. You spoke on, you know, mentorship and impacting. Did you say specifically Black men, or is it Black men and women as well, young men?
I think for me, it's just like connecting young, ambitious Black and brown kids with the things that they need in order to be able to be successful and fulfilled. So sometimes that's community, and that's, you know, it's awareness. There's this scholarship program, there's this pipeline program. Sometimes it's actually giving them the tools or the equipment that they need, whether it's the digital literacy, being able to really kind of cross that divide that we see more often with technology. We're in these communities where intentionally we don't have the same access in the technology, and we're falling behind other areas. You know, you were talking about being a map maker and getting to see some of those discrepancies. You see it happening geologically based on those makeups in those different areas. So for me, it's how do I make sure that there are young me's who are getting the same kinds of life-changing opportunities and people who are willing to like really truly invest, because that's the only way any of this changes.
So what advice would you give to somebody else that's watching this that wants to do something similar to how you do?
Put yourself out there. I think there's so many great platforms that allow us to put ourselves in front of more people than ever before. And it is in our benefit to really, truly invest in those platforms. I think you have the opportunity to tell your own story in a way that our parents didn't get to, like our kids won't get to, because there's going to be a hyper online version of them, I think. And so we're really still in a good position to be able to say, okay, this is how I want to be known. This is how I want to show up. Own that narrative. Put yourself out there. Create the storyline of the person that you want to be and how you show up in the world. And I think people are able to invest and opt in so much more of a meaningful way because they have material to work with.
That's deep right there. So I guess I only got 2 questions left. This one is more personal. Is little Giana proud of you? Are you making her proud?
Little Giana is so proud. Little Giana wanted so badly to be a part of something bigger than herself. And I can like very proudly say, like, I have roots, you know, I have areas of impact. I have things that I've dedicated time and energy to that I've gotten to see the fruit of. So for me, that is enough of a place of pride. But I was on vacation with my mom for my birthday, and I was realizing I'm living a life that like no one else that is in my family line has gotten the opportunity to live. And for better or for worse, for the painful stuff, for the incredible stuff, like those are experiences that are going to grow me so much for so long.
Absolutely.
That's such a blessing. And I feel so blessed and so proud of myself to have gotten to this point.
Yeah. Thank God for it.
Yeah.
Little G's proud of you. I'm proud of you. I thank you for sharing your story, but we got one more question. We spoke about curiosity. We spoke about always having ambition and creating the life that you want. What is your biggest dream and how do you accomplish it?
I'm I'll be honest, my biggest dream is to have a family much like the one my parents created. I think I'm the proudest sibling ever in life. Like, I am not an anomaly in my family. Everyone is doing really incredible things and are, I think, living their purposes because we had parents who really truly believed as long as you're doing something, you're doing it with your full heart, you're doing it to the best of your ability, you can succeed. So we have this limitless idea of possibility. And how much better will my family and my kids' lives be because I've had that lived experience. I've moved through my life in, I think, a bit of an unusual way, and I've seen it be successful. I can't wait to see the limitless possibilities that like my bloodline creates, but like the general legacy of bring everybody to the table. Let's all have a conversation. Let's all have a seat. Let's all have an opportunity to share in the wealth that we're creating for ourselves. That's the only way that we're all actually going to be able to rise up and leave lasting change.
That's real.
Yeah.
And I see it happening for you. Again, give her tens, y'all. Flowers, give her all of that. This is a real community curator right here. This is a mover and shaker in the DMV and the DC area. She's getting it done. But yeah, Behind the Brand, episode 25. We've done 25 of these, y'all.
Not on 25.
We're 25. Yeah, it's serious. We came a long way, but we're going on hiatus. But in the meantime, this will come out after the New Year. So Happy New Year, y'all.
Happy New Year.
But where can the people find you in the meantime?
They can find me on my Instagram, Geometry, or on LinkedIn, which is where you should connect with me, Giana Darville. But yeah, I'm around. I'm a Northeast DC girly. And
anything that we got to look forward to?
Oh my goodness. The book won't be for quite a while, my guy. No, I feel like I'm just going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep doing, things that I can with the community. Like, I'm excited for what the new year is going to bring, but nothing to speak on just yet.
All right. We got something in the pipeline, and I'll be looking for it. But as always, this has been an episode of the Half a Day Show, bringing you education, entertainment, and everything in between. See y'all when I see y'all.